Youri Tielemans, on the verge of completing a surprise move right now from Aston Villa.
Youri Tielemans to Manchester United came out of nowhere, but United fans have every reason to be excited about his arrival. For years, he's been one of the Premier League's most underrated midfielders, and now United have landed him for just £35 million thanks to a release clause. In a market where any random midfielder can go for £70 to £100 million, I'm looking at you, Elliot Anderson, that's an incredible piece of business.
Part of his contract contains a release clause, which we understand to be around £36 million, which Manchester United are prepared to pay.
What makes Tielemans so valuable is that he has been consistent over the years, but he has also delivered when his team have needed him the most in the most high-pressure moments. In the 2021 FA Cup final against Chelsea, with the game locked at 0-0, Tielemans stepped forward from midfield and unleashed an unstoppable strike from nearly 30 yards out that flew right into the top corner.
Here's Youri Tielemans! It's a stunning goal from Tielemans!
That goal gave Leicester City the first FA Cup in the club's 137-year history, and instantly became one of the greatest goals ever scored in an FA Cup final. He carried that same habit of delivering in the biggest moments to Aston Villa. During the 2025-2026 Europa League final against Freiburg, Tielemans ran the midfield, opening the scoring in what was a comfortable 3-0 win as Villa lifted European silverware.
Towards Tielemans on the volley, Youri Tielemans!
Yes!
Tielemans!
Come on! Yes!
Another
Yes!
maneuver!
Come on!
And another goal!
His leadership has also really grown on the international stage. After being named Belgium's captain in September of 2025, Tielemans led his country into the 2026 World Cup. In the round of 32 against Senegal, Belgium looked more finished than Garnacho before their captain took over, scoring twice in a dramatic 3-2 comeback.
In from Trossard. Oh, Murray Jow came for it! Wow! In a flash, Belgium are back! And he scores! And it is over. From the brink to the next round.
That's the exact kind of personality that Manchester United are bringing into their dressing room. Tielemans controls the game through his football IQ rather than athleticism. He always seems to know where the next pass is before anyone else, allowing him to dictate the tempo and keep his team moving forward. His passing range is one of the best in the Premier League. He can play quick one-touch combinations through the middle before suddenly switching play with a perfectly weighted diagonal pass that turns defense into attack within seconds. It's no surprise that he once completed a Premier League record 126 passes in a single match against Everton, showing just how capable he is of controlling an entire game. Another huge strength is his technical ability. Tielemans is comfortable with either foot, making him incredibly difficult to press. Opponents can't simply force him onto one side because he can receive, turn, and play progressive passes with either foot. Combine that with his excellent first touch and constant scanning, and he's one of those midfielders who always seems to have more time on the ball than everyone else. Then there's his shooting. Defenders know they can't simply back off of him because Tielemans has shown throughout his career that he's more than capable of scoring from 25 or 30 yards out. That forces midfielders to have to close him down earlier, opening space for runners ahead of him. More importantly, he's already adjusted to the Premier League. He's played there since January of 2019, when Leicester City signed him on an initial 6-month loan. Brendan Rodgers gave him the freedom to play further forward, and his passing, vision, and ability to control games quickly made him one of Leicester's most important players. His performances convinced the club to spend a then club record £45 million to sign him permanently that summer. Over the next 4 years, Tielemans became the maestro of the Leicester midfield. He made 195 appearances, scored 28 goals, and of course etched his name into the club's history with that unforgettable winning goal in the 2021 FA Cup final. When Leicester ended up being relegated in 2023, it was clear that he had outgrown the club. He joined Aston Villa on a free transfer, and under Unai Emery, aka the Spanish Severus Snape, his game reached another level. Rather than playing as an advanced creator, Emery developed Tielemans into a much more complete midfielder. Operating in a deeper role, he learned when to slow the game down and when to speed things up. He also learned how to balance creativity with defensive discipline. By the time Villa lifted the Europa League in 2026, Tielemans had already become one of the Premier League's most intelligent all-around midfielders. That development made him the perfect target for Manchester United. And the move honestly happened so quickly. after Michael Carrick guided United from 7th place to a 3rd place finish during his impressive spell in charge. Remember, Amorim said that they had to suffer for a long time, and then Carrick came in and immediately the team looked better, but I digress. The club made rebuilding the midfield its biggest priority. Casemiro left on a free transfer, while Ugarte suffered a serious knee injury during Uruguay's World Cup campaign. Though respectfully to Ugarte, even when he was healthy, he was a bit of a liability. Either way, this left United desperately short of experienced midfielders. Now, they had already signed Andre Santos from Chelsea and looked to have signed Atalanta midfielder Ederson, but then everything changed. Ederson failed his medical after concerns over a knee issue, forcing United to abandon the deal at the last minute. But instead of panicking, United discovered Tielemans had a £35 million release clause, triggered it on the spot, and boom, they completely bypassed any negotiations with Aston Villa. Villa naturally had no intention of selling. They had already offered Tielemans a new contract that would have removed the clause. But once United activated it and the player agreed to the move, there was nothing they could do. For Tielemans, the decision was pretty straightforward. Joining Manchester United had reportedly been a dream for him ever since he was a child. According to multiple different reports, he turned down far more lucrative offers, including some huge contracts from the Saudi Pro League, because he wanted to play at Old Trafford and be a part of Michael Carrick's new project. What do you know? The United pull has gone nowhere. So why were Manchester United so eager to trigger that release clause? Well, it comes down to one thing. Tielemans solves a lot of the issues that have occurred in Manchester United's midfield over the last few seasons. Tielemans is one of those rare midfielders who can control every phase of the game. He can help build attacks from deep, dictate the tempo and possession, and still arrive in dangerous areas around the box. His passing is arguably his biggest strength. Last season, he ranked among the Premier League's best for progressive passes, which tells you everything you need to know about how this guy plays. He's always looking to move the ball forward, break defensive lines, find teammates in dangerous positions. He's not some side-to-side pass merchant. Even at the World Cup against some of the toughest opposition, he kept showing that same quality. Against Senegal, he completed 52 of his 56 passes while leading Belgium's comeback. Against the US, he stayed calm under constant pressure and completed 32 of his 38 passes while also winning every tackle he attempted. He completely destroyed the Yankees. That's exactly the kind of midfielder that Carrick wants at the heart of his team. Another huge advantage from Tielemans is his versatility. Tielemans can play as the deepest midfielder in a double pivot, as a box-to-box number 8, or further forward as a creative midfielder, in case Bruno ever actually misses a game to injury. That gives Carrick plenty of tactical flexibility depending on the opponent. He's also fairly reliable. Across his career, he's rarely missed long periods through injury, which is a massive bonus for a Manchester United side that will be juggling Premier League and Champions League football. Now, defensively, he's not someone who flies into reckless challenges every 5 minutes. Instead, he relies on his football IQ. He reads passing lanes well, positions himself really intelligently, and often can win the ball before the danger even develops. Add in his excellent delivery from corners and free kicks, and he improves United in multiple areas. Of course, no player is perfect. A lot of people don't watch my videos fully and they only look at the thumbnail and think that all I do is glaze these guys. No. Tielemans has some glaring weaknesses. His biggest limitation is his lack of pace and athleticism. If this guy's isolated in open space against quick attackers, it's barbecue chicken. He's also not the strongest player in the air, meaning he isn't someone you want defending endless crosses into the box. He's no Casemiro. That's why the players around him matter. Put him next to energetic, athletic midfielders who can cover ground and do some of the heavy defensive running, and Tielemans can focus on what he does best, which is controlling games. Because remember, Carrick wants United to dominate possession, to play through pressure, and move the ball forward quickly. They're not Arsenal, and Tielemans is built for exactly that. When United build from the back, he'll be the player that drops deep in between the defenders to collect the ball. Instead of simply recycling possession, his first instinct is to look forward. He'll invite pressure, that opens up space elsewhere, and then he fires passes through the lines to get United attacking before the opposition can reset. Think of it like this. The center backs spread out and then tempt the opposition to press. Tielemans drops into that space to give them an easy passing option, and as soon as he receives the ball, he scans the pitch and immediately looks to find players like Amad Diallo, Brian Mbeumo, Mateus Cunha, making runs in behind. It's exactly the type of passing that United have been missing. Who plays beside him will also change how the midfield works. If he's partnered with Mainu, there's naturally going to be some questions about how that team is going to look defensively. But still, they could do really well together. Mainu becomes the player driving forward with the ball, beating pressure through dribbling and carrying United up the pitch. Tielemans can stay deeper, control the tempo, and make sure that the team stays balanced whenever possession is lost. If Andre Santos plays alongside him, then the relationship will be very different. They can also flip roles. Santos brings the energy, physicality, and defensive running that Tielemans lacks. Santos can cover huge spaces, win tackles, and that allows Tielemans to focus almost entirely on controlling possession and picking the right passes without having to constantly run around like a chicken with his head cut off. You can actually look at the player grades for all of the midfielders for United right here. According to Gradient's data, Tielemans is statistically the best out of all United midfielders overall, ranking high for passing, passing under pressure, and ball carrying. By the way, look at Mainoo's stats here when it comes to tackling. So much for Ruben Amorim's narrative that Mainoo can't defend. Tielemans will also have a huge impact on Bruno Fernandes. For years, especially under Ruben Amorim, Bruno had to drop like 40 or 50 yards from goal just to get on the ball. I don't want you guys to ever forget that. The best attacking midfielder, the best player in the Premier League, was playing as a double pivot and a 3-back. But again, I digress. Now, Bruno had to do this because United lacked someone who could consistently dictate play from deep. While that helped the build-up, it also meant United's most creative player was spending too much time away from the dangerous areas. Tielemans changes that. With him controlling games from deeper positions, Bruno can stay much higher up the pitch where he's at his best. Instead of worrying about starting attacks, he can focus on finishing them, combining around the box, making lay runs into the area, and creating chances in the final third. That's why this signing could have a ripple effect across the team. Tielemans gives Carrick more control in the midfield, creates better service for the wide players, and frees Bruno Fernandes to do what he does best. Now, some people will point to the fact that Tielemans is 29 and doesn't really fit United's recent focus on signing younger players with long-term resale value. But football isn't just about buying for the future. You can ask Chelsea how that's going. Sometimes you need players who can help you win right now. And with Casemiro gone, United needed experience, leadership, and someone who already understands the demands of the Premier League. Tielemans brings all of that. He arrives with nearly a decade of top-level football behind him, so many caps for Belgium, and a trophy cabinet that includes domestic and European silverware with some underrated teams. More importantly, he fits exactly what Michael Carrick wants from his midfield. He gives United someone who can stay calm under pressure, control the tempo. Those are qualities United have lacked for years, especially against teams that sit deep and play those head-on low blocks. And you have to remember that sometimes the best transfers are not the biggest names or the most expensive deals. United fans know that better than anyone. Sometimes you need signings that solve multiple problems at once, and that's exactly what Tielemans has the potential to do. For a club returning to the Champions League and trying to establish a new identity under Michael Carrick, this is the kind of deal they need. If you enjoyed this video, I'm sure you will love this one too. Check it out right here.